This thing on? Okay. Good morning, everybody. I'm almost to work. A little early today. We'll see what time we clock in. It's Juneteenth. We got the day off, but it should be a day of service, and I'm going in to serve people. And the subject I want to speak about is the great servant, the great hero who's being denigrated and being disrespected. I want to talk about George Washington. Doesn't seem like a thing a lot of people want to talk about. But I was crying this morning when I heard on the radio that a statue of George Washington was toppled and that American flags are being burned. And it goes along with yesterday. I heard Dennis Prager discuss how he remembers as a child in yeshiva, as the Yiddish kind. He remembers, in an Orthodox Jewish day school in yeshiva in Brooklyn. He remembers they put on a pageant, they put on a play, and he played George Washington for Washington's birthday. And he says, who's doing that today? What heroes do our children have? Everybody is so flawed and so imperfect, and so we have to topple their statues, and it breaks my heart. And I know we Jews don't like statues, and our father Abraham smashed the idols. But nobody's praying to George Washington. Nobody's even asking George Washington to pray for them. But George Washington should be the archetype of a saint for our land, for this country. No, he wasn't perfect, but that's the point. Is that you can do great things and be great without being perfect. And the same goes for Jefferson, the same goes for Ben Franklin, the same goes for all of them. We have to have our founders. These were great men. These were special men and women. We have to have Betsy Ross, or else we're lost. And I'll tell you my relationship with George Washington. Personally, when I was a kid, I much more appreciated Franklin the scientist and the intellectual, and Jefferson the intellectual and the scientist. Washington just seemed like a general, a military man. What do I have to do with him? He didn't impress me very much. And then I read a book by Glenn Beck called Being George Washington. I highly recommend everybody. As an Ingerman, I read this book. And I picked it up at a bargain bin in Walmart. And I read it in Kisi Kovid. And I highly, highly recommend anybody who could see this book to read this, because it's a Musar Sefer, really. And it's worthwhile to read. And when we denigrate, when we just see one aspect of who someone was, that they happened to own slaves because they inherited them. I don't know if Washington even actually bought any slaves in his life. I know Jefferson inherited slaves and was not allowed to free them. statutorily. So I'm not going to get into this much more, but I do want people to read this book called Being George Washington by Glenn Beck. He wrote it a number of years ago, but it's don't take my word for anything. Just read the book, okay? And see why I'm crying that they're tearing down George Washington's statue. All right, God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe. Comment. We'll see you later.